perfect plans meet real people. Perfect plans meet real people. I saw this book cover, and I wish I would have thought of it because it was awesome. But it was. I think it had to do with youth ministry. But it showed a guy. He was like in a suit. Well, like he didn't have his jacket on, but he had like a white shirt, black suspenders, everything. He's kneeling down on the grass and he's ironing the grass, like a lawn, And it's perfect, Like we're trying to make our plans so perfect, and so, so plan versus reality. No matter how meticulously you plan Sunday school, remember. You're working with kids.
We're working with kids,
and you're working,
and some staff members who are
even,
kids.
Even staff. And I remember that you're working with kids and staff that bring their own dynamics to the table. And the thing is rather than be frustrated at that, like I can be, we need to celebrate that really, because that's what gives us this well-rounded or more creative, environment.
Yes. Yep.
Instead of just being all. One person or something.
Absolutely. That's what either leads to our chaos or what was our saying at the beginning there?
Oh, huh? Oh, the magic or disaster.
Magic or disaster. That's what I was going for. That's what brings us the magic and disaster.
The magic and disaster.
It's gels together at times. You know, and
well, yeah, exactly. Sometimes the thing that we think is a disaster is actually, the magic.
Yes.
Brother Booker talked about Brother Bob Lee is at their church in their Sunday school, and he does a lot of, they all do, but he does a lot of the science experiments or something.
Okay,
He had a fire experiment gone awry in front of the kids, but it was funny because he had done this experiment or whatever, and it just like was flaming way more than it was supposed to, and all the staff knew it and he knew it, but the kids didn't. So the kids thought it was awesome. They were just like, yeah, it's epic. And I think they eventually had to throw it out or something outside, but that, there is sometimes where we're just like, oh man, the story is going off the rails or something.
Right.
We do a lot of acting, and so
it can get crazy.
Yeah, it can get crazy, but sometimes that's what the kid. The kid. One of the favorite things we do for the kids, we did it today. One of the favorite things we do for the kids is one of the most chaotic things we do, and that's a battle. The
battles, yes.
We have these Nerf balls that we get on Amazon. They're Nerf golf balls. If anybody wants to use this idea, so they're really soft, and it's the ammunition. And we have armies lined up, and they throw them like crazy at each other. Pick them up and throw them again, and
they do it probably all service or all class if we let them.
Yeah, and so we'll let it go for a little while, and then like today we had to instruct the one army they had to die.
They have to die, yeah.
And it's funny because like Brother Keach in practice was pointing out like, these kids aren't going to want to die, And so the way that I usually do that is when we're picking them, I'm like, okay, do I have any good actors in here? And so of course they're like, oh yeah.
Of course.
And so I did that today. I got up and I wasn't part of it, but I was like, I'm going to help him because he was by himself. So, and he had the bigger army. So I went over there and I was like, there were some of those guests on the back and I was like, okay, are you guys good actors? And I said, because you guys have to die. So this one girl, she does it. She's like, gets up and she's like, acting like she choked or something, just fell on the floor. I was like, whoa, that was awesome. Another boy, he's like, he does it. I was like, okay, you guys got it.
Perfect. That's good.
And I watched them too in the battle. They threw the balls a little bit, and then I watched them. They were like full on acting. They were like doing the 3-part fall. Fall to their knees and fall down, just like
that's good.
Flopping down.
I had one kid come up to me after service, actually back in the sanctuary, and came up. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like he just out of the blue comes up, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Oh, I got killed in Sunday school. Yeah, they hit my neck. He's going on. I'm just like, okay. Like, are you hurt? Like, what? Or he was just explaining that.
He was just like, he knew that he got killed.
I got killed. And I was like, oh, okay. All right.
That's awesome.
I don't know if he remembered anything else from it, but, it's one of our younger kids. So it was kind of comical, I thought.
Well, So I put another note, but some of the most profound teaching moments come from those unplanned detours,
Yes.
that we have. And so we should be open and ready for those. And I think, like, I talk about, instead of being frustrated, celebrate the dynamics or whatever. I think the same thing with detours is be ready, especially when it's comes time for we're getting closer to the altar call or whatever in the lesson, or even if you're doing prayer requests. I mean, at any moment, God can work, and hopefully He's working all throughout our Sunday school. But if we can be sensitive to that, and know that a detour, maybe like, okay, here's an example is you're in the middle, you're going through your offering lesson, and our segments are pretty short. So you got 2 minutes and you're trying to get through it. And a kid asks a question. Now, sometimes they're just dumb.
Right.
But maybe there's something there, and realize that, again, taking a step back, and why are we here?
Yeah.
What's the whole point of why we build this script, why we build this awesome set, why we wear this costume? What is the point?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And that comes back to, like, don't take yourself so seriously.
Exactly. Yeah. There's going to be moments like if we don't finish, like there's times where we don't finish the script because
often
stuff has happened, whether it's just we've gotten backed up or taken those extra moments doing something. A longer altar call. There was one here recently that was
last week.
I think
last week
we
was
have
awesome.
our scheduled time. I use air quotes there because there is no set time on altar call. We try and give it about 6 minutes.
I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the things we do with that altar call is we have a 6-minute timer.
Yep.
And this probably doesn't happen anywhere else, but here in Washington, sometimes our altar calls are not just fiery altar calls. And so what our loose rule is, push it to at least the 6 minutes.
Yep.
That's where we go to the minimum. Because sometimes at 5 minutes, it breaks.
That's when
And so you push it at least to the 6 minutes. And then if it's not moving, okay, you went to 6 minutes, let's move on to the next segment. But then on the flip side, like you just said, is if God is moving, I mean, God's always moving. If the kids are responding, and we have a good altar call, then forget the timer.
Timer goes out the window.
Yeah.
We will throw it out the window.
Yeah, throw that iPad out.
Yeah. And that's what's happened here at least the last couple that I can think of. There's been a couple weeks here in the last month, 2-3, that has more or less happened, where it's, again, and like you said, it takes
like last week,
some time before it breaks loose a bit.
Last week, our timer, I was just kind of trying to watch it a little bit and see, because the power of God was moving.
Yeah.
And we went a little bit over 20 minutes, which
really?
Doesn't sound like a lot, but Sunday school, at least for us, that's a lot. That's a long time.
I was telling someone, I was like, I think it was at least about 15 minutes, but I knew it was a long one because it was just.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when God's moving,
it doesn't feel long.
It doesn't feel long. Like 6 minutes, like, oh my goodness. But next thing you know, it's like, oh, what? 20 minutes? Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. It was.
That was
so
a powerful
good.
one. One of the, I'd say,
Really
more
good.
powerful moves we had, and that was when we got a bunch of.
We had a bunch of guests, right?
Bunch of guests, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember there was 3 praying just so hard.
Yep, and then we had, some of the regular kids, the ones that have grown up in it, same thing, and it's like that's what we need. That's.
So Krista told me today, it was so funny. She said that there's a little boy that has been in Sunday school for a while, but he's young. I think he's 4, or not 4, 5. 5 is our young age. And then there's somebody that's brand new. This is like their 3rd week, maybe. Mm-hmm. They're brand new as far as age wise. They're both church kids, but it was altar, and he grabbed the new boy's hands, lifted both of his hands, grabbed his hands, and then put his fingers and closed the boy's eyes. Like, this is how you do it.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's good.
Like, I wish we could have videoed that.
I bet I could know who at least one of them is, so that's good.
That was so funny. I was like, wow.